All right, my favorite people. So today we're going to be switching subjects up and throwing you a little bit of curveball. And I'll start to incorporate more of these types of subjects as well, just to really switch things up. But it is on why I quit social media. So you'll definitely want to stay into the very end to get some takeaways I am getting from this. And maybe you'll take this challenge that I have taken as well. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So you already know, next steps, those of you on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell. And those of you who are on other platforms that are listening, go ahead and leave that rating. It would really mean the world. Do not be stingy, you guys. Share this content because I know I am dropping bombs and absolute gems and golden nuggets. All right, so just first starting out is I gave myself a challenge because of 30 days being off of social media, which I'll go into the biggest takeaways of that. But I'm always looking to challenge myself in different areas. That's one of the reasons why I moved from Indianapolis to Houston, Texas, because I started to feel comfortable there in Indianapolis. And I always want to switch things up when I start to feel comfortable as a way to stretch myself out of my comfort zone, because I'm a firm believer that is where the growth actually does happen. And then also I started to get more ingrained in the whole social media aspect and some negativity that's involved with that, because how things are starting to shift. But I digress. I don't want to go too much on that, but I do want to jump into the first point of the biggest takeaway. So I'm now officially completed with the 30-day challenge of not being on social media. And so the first thing I was able to get from it is it really clears your mind. I got into the habit, which I have I have bad habits too. I'm not perfect. I'm not an angel by any means. And so as soon as I would get up I would check my emails. In addition to, I would check social media, which is one of those things that is not good because you're constantly getting bombarded with all this information, good, mostly negative oftentimes. And just from that is I didn't have that, just not being on the apps at all. So there's that, is it really just clears your mind. And one hack that I use now, because I use it more so for business purposes, so that's why I continually want to use it, because it's either you're used by social media or you use it. So I actually remove the apps from my phone, and then that way I can only log in on my desktop where I have blockers. Which there's blockers that to where you don't see stories or the actual news feed, to where now I only go there just to post, comment on those posts of people who actually comment on those, and then check any messages of people just reaching out to me for, hey, I would like your advice on this, I would like your advice on this, versus getting on there and then seeing the news feed, and then that's when you can go down a whole rabbit hole. So that's the first thing, is just clearing up the mind. The second is increase productivity. I like how I said that word, productivity versus productivity, but productivity is I was able to take that energy that I would normally put into coming up with the content, posting it on there, editing, reading the comments, and then also replying to the comments. I was able to divert that energy more so into different areas, such as being creative and coming up with more ideas on how to make my actual business better, putting more processes and systems in place. So yeah, just being able to be more productive and take that energy and put it into different areas. Working out, for instance, is not while I'm working out having to think of ways to take this workout to then post it on the stories. It's just now just getting in and getting out in my workout and just thinking about that and really being in the present moment. The third is that I realized is that social media is very addictive. So the first couple days I felt this FOMO, fear of missing out, that it's like, okay, I've got to get back on there now because I'm going to miss something. And that's as I've gone through this entire challenge and I got back on it, is that I really didn't miss anything. But that's one thing you'll start to, that I started to experience, that hey, I've got to get back on there because there's going to be something that I miss. But that wasn't the case. And there's actually a really good documentary that talks about this, which is The Social Dilemma. I believe it's on Netflix. And what it talks about, and it's completely true, is that there are billions of dollars that are being put into these platforms to keep you on them, such as if you're watching on YouTube or if you're on Instagram or whatever platform that you're on it is built to keep you on there. And they do research to map our brains and our thinking to keep us on those platforms, because that's exactly how they make money. It makes so much sense. So as your brain is going against research, billions of dollars of research. So yes, it can get addicting for a while. So that's one thing that I notice, is just taking a step back from that, because they're taking a step back from that and just clearing your mind, and that way you can show yourself that, hey, I don't need this, I can be able to function without it. So that's the third thing. Definitely you want to watch that Social Dilemma documentary. It was great. Or you can just watch a summary, which is what I believe I did online, versus watching the whole entire thing. So there's that. And then the fourth, as I mentioned, I'd already touched on this in point number 3 about the FOMO side of things, which is fear of missing out, is also this allows you to focus more on yourself. And what I mean by that is, constantly in the social media age, you see people's highlights. Everyone's so happy. You see, okay, they just closed on this deal that, let's say it was 150 units, or maybe even larger than that, or maybe smaller than that. Within that is, you don't see everything that led up to that deal, or that the people that you see most of the time that are all happy and that are on social media, family life seems all good. You don't see all the trials and tribulations that go with having a relationship, for instance. So in this case, many a times as you're trying to keep up with the Joneses and you're comparing yourself to others, versus when you're not on the platforms, is that allows you to take a step back and now focus more on what you can control, which is yourself. But I only want to speak for my personal, which I would say myself, what I can control is myself, versus trying to control and trying to keep up with everyone else that is out there. So that is my biggest takeaways, you guys. I am curious, have you gone on a social media cleanse? And now I've put it more on the schedule, which I've started to fall back into some bad habits. I'll be completely transparent, but now just putting more so on a schedule of, hey, check it at this time and this time, and only stick to the desktop version, which I'm glad I have those apps that allow me to avoid looking at the news feed and the stories and all that, and just using social media versus being used by social media. So go ahead and comment below, you guys. Would love to hear your thoughts on, do you believe that social media is more beneficial, or do you think it's more of a bad thing, with especially how things have started to shift? So we'll love your thoughts. Comment below. For those of you who can comment below, I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you next time.